It's always surprised me how winter just seems to sneak up behind the world and engulf it. How the world can look so colorful one day and seem so gray another. I've been sleeping in the same bed for the past 18 years. "12 hours ago, I buried my father. I never really knew my father. Dad and I were never really close. I never understood him. He was always so moody. Dad, can you give me a hand with something?
Honey, can you help your son, please?
Come on, leave your dad alone. He's under a lot of stress.
Doesn't look stressed to me. How can anybody be stressed watching television? He's the most relaxed person I've ever seen. Dad had sold cars for a living. He tried to get me into the family business when I turned 20. I don't want anything to do with cars. I can do a lot more with my education than hustle people about free air conditioning.
You ungrateful little bastard. For 20 years, it's cars that put food in your stomach and cars that have put clothes in your back. And now it's my air conditioning that's putting you through university.
Hey, I'm putting myself through university. Your cars didn't have anything to do with me getting a full scholarship.
I can't even believe you're taking a free education. It's like welfare.
Hey, I worked hard for that scholarship.
Besides, it's me that picks you up and drops you off every weekend, not your damn scholarship.
I'd managed to earn a master's degree in education. Dad didn't come to my graduation. Mom told me he thought men weren't meant to be teachers. Somehow the degree never meant much to me after that. Dad never agreed with anything I ever did. When I was a teenager, he left me alone most of the time. He only spoke to me to lecture. On my 16th birthday, he went on about how it was important for me to get my driver's license, how it would place a notch in my belt of manhood. I went for my motorcycle license instead. He never let me park my bike anywhere near the house. I had to convince the lady across the street to let me use her driveway. Tonight is the first time my bike has ever set foot on my own. I don't know if I can make the trip to North Bay with the Honda. I start a teaching position up there next week. I went in September to find an apartment, but that was before the cold weather rolled in. I might as well pack now and get it out of the way. I planned on leaving right after the funeral, but Mom had asked me to stay the night. I didn't want to, but I guess I owe her that. She's had a tough time with Dad being sick and all. I'd always wanted to tell Mom that she deserved a lot better than Dad. I couldn't, though. She loved him too much. Dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease about 2 years ago. It wasn't the disease that killed him, though. I was the one who found him. The coroner had already removed the body from the house by the time Mom got home from her night shift at the coffee shop. For the past 5 days, Mom's been absolutely unapproachable. She only talks to me. She blames herself. She figures that if she hadn't gotten the job at the coffee shop, Dad would still be alive. Mom's been working there for 15 years. Geez, I've been tiptoeing around the house for years so I wouldn't wake Dad up. He'd always been a light sleeper. He'd always catch me past curfew. I'm 24 years old, living at home, and up until 5 days ago, I had a curfew. I've been a free man for 5 days. Pretty much everything's all ready at my new place in North Bay. I wanted Mom to come with me, but she won't. She won't leave the house she lived in for more than 20 years. She tells me not to worry, that Dad will be watching over her from heaven. He hardly watched over her when he was alive. I had quite the poster collection when I was a teenager. Mom's gonna have to paint this room. Maybe I'll come back at Christmas. Dad would have had a fit. I can't stand coffee. Neither can Mother. I haven't been in here since I was 20, when Dad pulled me in to offer me his business proposition. It's weird. Even though Dad had the big A disease, as he liked to call it, he still held on to the business. I know that he had very few symptoms of the disease. The doctors told us that it was affecting his brain at a very slow pace. I could never really tell that Dad had any type of disease at all. I wonder why Mom didn't just give this to me. She must have seen it. Maybe the investigating police officer was onto something. He asked whether I thought Dad committed suicide. I said he'd never do something like that. He just had Alzheimer's disease. He just wasn't with it. The cop gave me a funny look. Roger, I realize that sometimes I was a real bastard when it came to you and your life. It was only because I didn't want to
see you make a mess of your life like I did. The only reason I married your mother is because she was pregnant with you. I was too young to be tied down. I'm not writing this letter so that I can apologize for anything I've ever said, because I'm not sorry for anything. You take care of your mother and see that my business is sold to a good buyer. Lord knows that if you ever take it over, it would never be the same. It's not that you couldn't do the job, but you were never cut out to be a businessman like your old man. You remember when you were a kid, I let you have a drag on my cigarette? You were always such a good kid. You never did smoke, did you? Well, I guess that's all I have to say. I'm on my way to a better place. Dad.
I never really knew my mother.